a spider hole somewhere, maybe with Saddam.
This is what El Chapo looks like when before he escapes prison. Hey, happy National Beer Day, by the way. What are you drinking?
I am behind, I guess. Coffee.
Come on, man. Let's talk baseball, dude. How are
Absolutely.
you? Are you enjoying the season so far?
I mean, how can you not? People are hurling a spherical object 60 feet 6 inches as hard as they can, and behemoths are crushing at 500 feet.
I know the exit velocity, which is something that I'm becoming familiar with, is quite impressive these
Yeah.
days. I'm like, it's a whole new vocabulary, a glossary terms for baseball. There's exit velocity, there's projected launch, if you will.
Yeah.
Let's see, the distance, obviously, and obviously, what was the other one? Here,
I think it's like there's the launch angle, and then there's the
that's the
likelihood of
one.
that being a hit. And I mean, it's amazing how many stats you can throw at each and every single pitch in the world of
You know,
baseball.
the thing about the stats is like baseball's all about stats. I get that, but like it gets to the point where like the data almost it doesn't make it any fun anymore. We know the outcome before the pitch is even thrown.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we gotta fix this. No more AI.
I root for every single time someone beats the shift, which has happened a
Yeah,
lot against the White Sox this year already. but yeah, anytime you got everybody lined up on the right side and the hitter throws it to the left side or vice versa, is like, yes, keep them
yeah.
honest.
Speaking of the White Sox, what do you
Yeah.
think so far? Hmm?
Honestly, super optimistic throughout every game of the year except for yesterday, which was kind of a blowout. Kind of glad I didn't watch most of it because Lucas
Yeah.
Giolito is a guy that worked on his curveball a lot during the spring training and was absolutely killing it early on. The first game of the season was almost a no-hitter for him. And I thought,
Yeah.
wow, this is not the guy we saw last year. And then
Well, I think
yesterday
there's a lot
was the guy we saw last year.
yeah, well, there's a lot of energy the first week of the season, and
Sure.
it's usually a lot of like positive energy, and everyone's kind of feeding off of that, and you kind of like overcome like emotion plays more a role, I think, in the first week when you feel that first start of the season, then you kind of settle in, and not that's happening. It's only guys had two starts. I mean, it's
Yeah.
way too early, but I think once everything settles down a little bit, you do see a little bit of the line levels off. And I think
Sure.
that's a little bit maybe what happened with him. Plus, they had a big win the day before. They didn't have that day off in between the home opener to kind of reset themselves. So I think
Uh-huh.
that played a little bit of a role. They were and plus they've been on the road. They're tired. They just came home for the first time this season after being on
Sure.
the
I mean,
road
hey,
all season long.
and of course, even the best team in baseball is going to get shelled every once in a while. So it's a long season.
Yeah,
So
exactly. It's a long season. So with that being the case, let's talk about some other teams maybe. Because like we'll come back to the White Sox. We know the White Sox are great. It's their year. They're going to be amazing,
absolutely.
and that's just beating a dead horse. But like there's other teams that are playing baseball, and we don't want to
Yeah.
like make it sound like we're just giving the White Sox all the love, even though most
Sure.
people that's a bandwagon they're going to get on. I think
There
you
you
know
go. We'll lay
because
that
I mean
red carpet
seriously.
out for him a little later.
There's an energy in Chicago right now. There's a shift, I believe, that's happening,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that shift is it's going southbound.
Sure.
I just there's a lot of like excitement with Moncada. I know we're staying on the White Sox, and that's okay. But with Moncada, Jimenez, Abreu he's off to a hot start, and then Alonso.
Yeah.
So like that's a pretty fearsome four dudes you're going to see in the lineup consistently,
And then
and
we even have
you have the pitch to
Larry
that.
Garcia, who seemed like a fourth outfielder type that Nicky Delmonico went down. It was kind of surprising he didn't make the opening day roster, but
But wasn't
so
there an
certainly
injury with Delmonico? Wasn't he hurt?
Delmonico last year or earlier in the spring got a concussion, so there might be some lingering effects from that, and he's still bouncing back. So therefore, Larry Garcia ends up making the opening day roster. He's an everyday player now, and he's only hitting close to 400, or as
Yeah.
of a couple days ago he was. So that's another guy that the White Sox have been infamous in my lifetime for just being in a great rhythm in Arizona, and then opening day starts, you get to the cold weather, and the hitting stops. And this is the first year that I can really remember where the hot hitting has continued into the season, which is nice to see finally.
Well, that's a good point. It's the team that scores first usually wins first in April, and as long as the White Sox can get on the board and attack the other team's pitching, get to the bullpen faster, especially early in the series, like they did it on Friday. They were able to attack the starting pitcher, Cuckoo Kachu, whatever his name is in Seattle. He's like their best pitcher, and like the guy literally
Kikuchi?
yeah, Kikuchi, yeah. So like, they had to keep him in the game a lot longer than they wanted to, because they had to preserve the bullpen, right? And they got into the bullpen a little bit earlier. Who knows what would have happened yesterday? And obviously today you would have had them on the ropes. They still can take the series, but like you want to attack these guys early on, get that pitcher, get to the bullpen early in the first game of the series, so that you can weaken the bullpen for the rest of the series and put you in a better position for leverage to win. So I think that's something that they just need to focus on today is attack the starting pitching, get to the bullpen, and wear them down. And then hopefully our bullpen won't do the same.
Exactly, and our bullpen again was taxed yesterday. That a lot of guys went out there, and as we've been talking about in our off-camera life, the last two guys I think are pretty solid. We got veterans back there, Alex Colomé and Kelvin Herrera, of course. But getting to those guys is kind of a minefield right now as guys get settled in. And maybe these are the guys that'll finish the season with us. Maybe they're not. But right now they don't instill a lot of confidence. Even guys like Nate Jones, who's a great pitcher, but has had a lot of injury history. And is he fully back? Is he fully healthy? But now his arm isn't doing what it used to do. Who knows?
And who do you think is the biggest threat on the team in terms of like possible exploding year? I mean, Moncada, do you think Moncada makes it easier for Jimenez to be successful? Like, had Moncada had a Moncada last year, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It would have taken the pressure off of him to perform better, like, which is what I think is going to happen with Jimenez.
It seems that way. That I should pull up their stats because Eloy's doing all right, but he's not lighting the world on fire. He had a 3-hit day yesterday, though. That was nice.
Yeah.
But when you got guys like Tim Anderson and Yohan Moncada both crushing it, then if he strikes out, we got so many other behemoths around him. And I got to tip my hat a little bit. I did not like the way the lineup was constructed the other day. I can't remember exactly where it was, but Wellington Castillo was hitting higher than I thought he should. But everything ended up working out perfectly for that amazing comeback win on opening day. So
yeah, it was a great game.
So Ricky Renteria, I think, did a great job of putting that lineup together and kind of, always having somebody doing well hitting behind somebody that might need a little help seeing more good pitches.
Good point. I agree.
Yeah.
Ricky Renteria. Ricky's boys don't quit. Hey, did you see Mike Trout's grand slam? How about that monster, dude?
I heard about it, and actually that's worth talking about because, of course, Mike Trout signed a $400-some million contract extension just recently. And if anybody in the history of baseball could have potentially been a bargain purchase at $400 million, it might be Mike Trout.
Yeah.
However, the bad news for him
is
he still plays on the Angels.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I think the Angels, like, see, it's weird. I think baseball's kind of going through weird growing pain with these extensions, and not to take away, like, Mike Trout deserves his money. He's the best player in baseball. So, like, there's nothing, like, not to take away from that. However, we're seeing a lot of extensions, not just with Mike Trout. The Cubs just extended Bote, whatever. How do you pronounce his name?
Yeah, Bote, which is an unusual one a little bit.
Well, I think I have a theory why. These players who are already at the major league level that have not hit free agency yet are kind of in a holding pattern because baseball is going through those changes, whereas all the money is really being invested into the younger talent, right? As they come up, they get drafted. Here's your signing bonus. Here's your money. You're locked in for a good several years. Jimenez, $43 million for like 6 or 7 years. They don't have to worry about that. Now the guy can go and play. Well, what about the guy who's going to have a 45 homer season, bats 322, has over 150 RBIs hit, and he's coming up on a free agency, but he's been with the team for 6 years now. Now, is that guy going to get a? He's going to lose out, right? If he waits until he goes to free agency, if he plays the market.
I'm wondering what's.
So what they do is, instead of waiting to play the market, because hey, dude, the last couple of years the market has not been yielding much for a free agent. But if you are in-house and you negotiate your deal ahead of time before getting to the free agency, you're locked in and you got your money. And I think that's what players are doing now. They're seeing that the money is getting invested into the younger players for longer term, so they can hold them into the system longer. Whereas the guys who are at the end of their career, they're either going to retire, jump ship to another team, and get the money elsewhere for like 1 or 2 seasons. But those guys in the middle, they're the ones who aren't going to get the big payday that they were expecting for free agency because it ain't yielding the money it used to.
Yeah, the Yankees are not being the Yankees in that sense.
So that's a big indicator.
Free agency and let Boston and New York pay through the nose for us. And even the Yankees have, in this modern age of baseball, have taken the approach that is so smart that let's develop from within. It's so much more cost effective to develop within. Prospects are always suspect, as they say. There's no guarantee that a prospect is going to pay out, but there's still international. There's not just the draft, but the international signings. So there's ways for big market teams to still throw a lot of money around and develop from within now.
And I think if you are someone like Bote or Bodie, whatever, or a player that's kind of like, hey, dude, am I going to get that money on the free agent market? It almost bodes well to approach the front office and say, hey, let's have a conversation and lock something in now. You get that. You're going to get a deal, the Cubs in this case. You're going to get a deal. You're going to get me at a lower price. You lock me in at a lesser rate. I'm going to get my money now. I'm going to have a little security for the next 5 or 6 years because I think it's through 2024 was the extension. And that means and I think there's an option for 2 years. So that's a win-win for everybody, right? Now, barring an injury, that's a different story. But that's the way I think baseball's headed, where players are not going to wait till they get to free agency. They're going to have the agent contact the front office and say, hey, do we want to make a deal now? Let's have this conversation now. If not, that's cool. We'll go our own way. But if we can make a deal, let's do it now. Let's not wait. Because waiting is going to cost money.
And I was just looking up, the guy that I think really kicked all this off and the team that did it was the Tampa Bay Rays with Evan Longoria. Back in 2008, they signed him to a 6-year, $17.5 million extension. That guy was a perennial all-star. Got 6 years of him for $17.5 million.
What a steal! And it's like Michael Jordan money in the '80s.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like Jordan got $3 million a year for an 8-year contract. That's kind of similar to Evan Longoria, right? Like he's leaving money on the table. In my opinion.
Yeah. And the idea, like you said, he's a young guy, so he has not yet had that multi-million-dollar payday yet. And there's also no guarantee because if there is an injury and his career's over, well, they're still on the hook to pay that $17.5 million, even if he only plays one more game. So that's the trade-off. But if it works out well, it works out really well for the team. And of course, the teams have so much money. The owners have so much money that they can take that kind of a gamble. If they have to eat $17.5 million, it's not a big deal. So the risk reward is through the roof in favor of the team.
So, but if you're like Evan Longoria, he's probably one of those players that you could he's been in the league for over 10 years. Yeah. He's got I don't know when is he a free agent next, but his next contract is not going to be the one that normally and traditionally, historically has been given to someone like him who hits free agency. In the past, we've given these big contracts.
Fortunately for him, he signed his last free agent deal in a time where that was a different economic market. It was in 2017. He got 6 years, $100 million. And those types of mid-range contracts, which is so funny to think a $100 million contract is kind of mid-range now. But it is. And so he's getting his payday. He's this year, he's making $14.5 million, followed by 15, followed by 18.5, 19.5. And then there's a 13 mil club option. He was kind of one of the last people to strike while the iron was hot, I think.
Yeah. But now, he comes off of free agency. If a similar player, similar stats, they're hitting free agency. are they going to the free agent market in today's world, or are they gonna, especially if they like the team they're playing for? If you're happy where you're at, clap your hands, make a deal, right? If not, then you're just
Yeah.
going to go elsewhere, obviously. But like if there's a relationship there and they could make something work, why wouldn't you have that talk? Apparently, the White Sox have already had talks with Dylan Cease about extending him, and I think he's in
that.
is he in AAA right now?
Yes, he is.
Okay,
Uh,
so
I couldn't believe that Ronald Acuna, one of the brightest young stars in the game today, he just signed an extension about a week ago.
yeah,
Actually, April
with the Braves.
2nd. Yeah, a little less than a week ago. Yeah, with the
Mm-hmm.
Bravos, and it's a $100 million deal again, but
Right.
8-year contract, 8-year,
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable. That guy is the future of that franchise. And he's a guy that easily would have out-earned that. But again, it's the hedging the bet against, am I going to get injured? And what does the future hold for the next
Mm-hmm.
collective bargaining agreement between the players' union
Right.
and the owners?
Which I think is definitely going to be, that's going to be a negotiation, because the players, I'm pretty sure, are thinking like, hey, we're getting a raw deal here. Like something
Yeah.
shifted in the wrong direction.
And I
And
think the
they're
owners feel that too. I think
yeah.
the owners have known we've gotten away with something the last 2 years. So let's sign all of these extensions in this current weekend market
Ah,
where we can get the best deal out of it. And then when we have to do the new CBA, we're going to end up paying a lot of money. So let's lock in money now.
yeah.
And I
That's
think
a good point.
a lot of these extensions are going to be even more under market value when we see what happens in the new CBA.
Interesting. I like that idea. That's a good point. So everyone's colluding against each other, basically. The owners
Exactly.
are like, let's keep it all under in-house. We won't go to the free agent market. We'll all develop all of our talent in-house, and then these guys can all sit there and wait to see. They'll come to us, and now it's reversing itself. It's all going to be crazy,
Yeah.
man. It'll be an interesting
It's,
collective bargaining agreement what they come up with.
Yeah. So let's take a really quick look around the league. I love to go on to baseballprospectus.com where every day they update what the odds are for each team to make the playoffs. And
Okay.
since we'll do this show every Sunday, it's neat to see which teams are making the biggest jumps or sinks, I guess you could say. And the team that
Okay.
has sunk in the lowest, the biggest negative change of their playoff odds, the Boston Red Sox of all teams.
Yeah.
Has gone down. Their playoff odds have decreased 13%. And
Yeah, I see that.
yeah,
Wow.
wow. They are just 2-8 right now. They're a team that is one of the highest payroll teams as well. Speaking of extensions,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Sale got one of these recent big extensions, and he has not looked like the perennial Cy Young contender.
I got tons
late.
of theories for you, Scott. Tons of theories
Bring
about
it.
why all this is going on. Okay, Boston, first of all, they're hungover. Okay, they just won the World Series, and that World Series was it 6 games? It went deep, right? It went so deep that they
Sure.
had to bring Chris Sale in at the end to get him the win or the save to end
He picked
the
up
World
save, yeah.
Series. Now, let's keep in mind, Chris Sale in the postseason wasn't like lights out and always reliable, right? But
He was
like it
not,
made
yeah.
it looked good that this guy came in and it looked like he came in to kind of like save the day, like, oh, he's gonna bring it home for us to finish the job. I have a feeling that he's playing injured right now, and we just don't know what the injury is. His arm is tired. We've talked about this in the past, a couple of years back.
Mhm.
When he was with
Yes,
the
we
White
have.
Sox, he is averaging at least 1,000 innings, if not 1,100 innings a year, a
Well,
season,
not.
and like.
No, I mean closer
No,
to.
no,
I
no.
was actually
Oh,
just about to look that up. Maybe
it's actually like
250-ish.
225. It was like 225. I'm sorry. His total with the White Sox in like a 4 or 5 year like period was about
Gotcha. Yeah.
1,100
With the
innings.
White Sox, he threw 1,100 innings. Yes.
Hmm. Right up here, buddy. Didn't have to look
Yeah.
that up. So, all right. So his arm's tired, right? He gets to Boston. They win the World Series. You've seen that delivery. That thing's like a rubber band that's about to snap. That arm. Like I think he's
Yeah.
playing
Yeah.
injured in my opinion. But Boston in general, you go deep into the postseason, and you're going to be tired. Whether it's your pitching staff, the whole 25 man roster. When you win the World Series, there's a trend that's happening, and you can look at the
Sure.
Giants as the ones who set the trend. You win it one year, you take a year off and recoup. The following year after that, you win. take another year off, recoup, recover,
Yeah, yeah,
win another one. They won one. They won one every other year.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
I think
For
what
six
we're going to see
seasons,
happen.
3 World Series. Yeah.
When was the last time a team repeated the World Series? I think it was like
It
in the
hasn't happened in a
90s.
very long time. It's probably a Yankees team in the 90s. I'm not
That would have
exactly
been
even
the team
sure.
that would have been the team that three-peated because it was late
Okay.
90s, I believe.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, I'm losing power on my phone here. You there?
Okay.
Oh, you there?
Yeah, I am still
So-
here. I
oh,
see
okay,
it
cool.
got darker, but okay.
Oh, my battery on my headphones might be dying on me. But anyways, but yeah, go back to the Red Sox here. I just think they're just tired, like from the previous season. Look at Houston; they didn't repeat. They didn't go to the World Series. You know what I'm saying? So like, I kind of see like there's, I don't know. I feel like there's exhaustion setting in, and you're
Yeah,
hungover. It's been a
and last
party.
year, looking at last year's stats, Sale only logged 158 innings. So I know he spent some time on the DL even last year. And that was always a threat, a scare thing with Chris Sale. He is this very
Hmm.
skinny guy. He's got this wild delivery. How long can he hold up? And he's really defied the odds. People have always been afraid to give this guy a contract extension because he seems like he could be made of glass. He looks so frail. He's not built like Kurt Schilling or something, or
Hmm.
Bartolo Colon. And maybe
That's a
we're
good
finally seeing
reference.
it. So good job for Sale to get his extension now.
His money. Get that money, man. Because honestly, like I mean, like a player like Chris Sale should never become a free agent until like he's 15 years into the league if he's still playing at that point. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
if he's traded, that's one thing, like he was, but like to let a talent like that hit the free agent market, there's something
Hmm.
going on in the clubhouse to let someone like that walk away. You know what I mean? You rein that guy in early, and that goes back to their center fielder, and I forget his name, but the Red Sox's center fielder. I mean, you want to talk about the next contract that we're gonna like? That's really going to be a huge either extension or free agent signing. It's that guy.
Mookie
He is
Betts.
yeah,
Yeah.
he is the future of that. He lights up the joint, Mookie. You know,
Oh yeah.
he's
And
fantastic.
did another contract extension with Xander Bogaerts as well. That was another $100+ million one. Uh,
With all the
so
extensions, you think
you know,
Flint has new pipes for water. You know, everyone's spending so much money on extensions. Where's all this money coming from? How much money does Major League Baseball really make?
it's amazing. I mean, the individual teams' TV rights. Holy hell! So
Yeah,
much money is coming in. Of course, there's always the naming rights of the stadium. You get
yeah,
beautiful things like guaranteed rate field out of it.
yeah.
But
That's a marketing wet dream, a marketer's wet dream right there. Guaranteed rate field, like you can just run with it. You know. Um,
yeah,
what was I gonna say? Also, was like you mentioned TV deals, and you bring up a really good point.
yeah,
The Dodgers have basically their own network. The Cubs are going to start their own network through
yeah, they are.
Sinclair Media. Uh, what is the general vibe in the like? I know you're in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm in Los
Sure.
Angeles. I can tell you how the Dodgers rollout went. It was not good. In fact, it's still considered a bad deal. No one really can get it unless you have, I think it's Spectrum or Charter. So
Okay.
it's like what's meant to give you access is very, very limiting. And I think that's the concern here, maybe with some people in the Cubs side of things, is like how are they going to roll this out where people will be able to have access to it and then I guess pay for it. I mean it's a big risk.
I don't know if I don't know how the Cubs one is going to go. It might be like the SNY, the Yankees network, which is I think just its own cable network entity where they control everything. And
Hmm.
let me tell you, when I was in New York last, that was on in the bar, and I think it was after baseball season when I was there, and they're still just showing archive
Yeah.
games, and it seemed like propaganda film that everybody was
Oh God,
still
yeah.
getting their baseball fix and getting pumped, even though the next season was very far off, and it's its own cash cow.
Yeah.
Um, it's absolutely smart. And aren't the White Sox, Bulls, Blackhawks going in on a TV
Yeah.
deal together as well?
Well, Chicago, from what I understand, Comcast Chicago, all the teams in Chicago are like partners of Comcast Sports Chicago. The Cubs are obviously leaving to start their own network, like a pay channel, which will have their. I mean, this is the cool thing about the potential that this has. Every Major League Baseball team, especially the old school guys, Cubs, White Sox, Yankees, Dodgers, Giants.
Yeah.
These teams have so much content and footage and like from the archives, whether it's games, interviews, little documentaries. I mean, if you go to YouTube and just put in like a White Sox MLB production search, you're going to find all their content. And be able to have that streamlined for your team is like, to me, I would pay for that, man. Especially if I can get it in California. I don't care if I was in Chicago, I wouldn't pay for it because it should be accessible in Chicago. But if I'm outside the state, yes, I will pay for this. But again, it's like, how is it going to get rolled out? How much is it going to cost? These are things that I that need to, like, is it going to be would it be worth it, like, to pay $25 extra a month to watch?
Yeah, I don't know.
Games.
And you would think for the, that's always that's kind of the paradigm we're in. We can just get into talking about how the industry works nowadays, the entertainment industry works. What's the bigger potential for income? Do you do the Netflix model where there's a subscription fee and that's it? Or do you do the, I don't know, the I guess regular TV model where it's free, but then you sell ad space? Whatever the case, the teams will be owning it. So if you can get, if you can make it free for everybody, get more viewers, then you can charge more for ads. And then that's all going into the teams.
Right.
And I do have to say one thing, as you brought up, where I reside in this moment, since I am up in Madison, I don't hear so much about Cubsdom because I'm in Brewer territory. And of course, they don't have their own channel coming out. But the biggest news of this year that has to do with the bottom line for the Brewers is the stunning surprise that the stadium of the Brewers will no longer be Miller Park, but will be American Family Insurance Park. So that is a change that's going into effect pretty soon. People up here are not crazy about that. but we can feel their pain.
Yeah, we can. I mean, just think about all the promos and the giveaway days that they're going to have at new American Family Insurance Park, or whatever. Is that what it's called? American Family Insurance?
I don't know if they've actually settled on what it'll be called, but that is the naming sponsor now. Yeah.
That's too bad, honestly. I mean, guaranteed rate field. I mean, that's like, and we have an arrow pointing you down. So it's like, it looks like we're not going upward mobility. No, we're not ascending to the top. We're going to the bottom of the barrel in last place. It's like, guys, really? I mean, come on. It was bad. I didn't like that one.
No.
They should just call it Portillo's Park. Why not just sell the naming rights to Portillo's, or have Portillo's buy the naming rights? Like, then you fill the whole ballpark up with Portillo's.
Oh, yeah.
Chili cheese dog just ran right through your head, right? Yeah. How about a beef combo or something like that? And it's all Portillo's. Yeah, we could, or at least
the first
like a little restaurant.
Fans get a chocolate. The first 10,000 fans get a chocolate cake milkshake upon entering.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, would you rather get rid of the Goose Island goose that's hanging out over in right field in the bleachers and replace that with a Portillo's? I mean, that would be kind of cool to me. I think that would be
back to Chicago.
Oh yeah.
So, I just lost audio. Hold on. Can you hear me?
It sounds like
there's an echo now.
Your headphone jack came out, because I can hear myself, unfortunately.
Oh, can you hear me at all?
I can.
This doesn't work anymore.
Okay then. Let's see. I know.
Hey, let's try this. Whoops, sorry.
I hear that I'm a little quiet if I'm using this, but it's better than a terrible echo.
Hold on, I got another one here. 1 second.
Okay. I'm still hearing my own echo, so that's Thanks for watching, everybody.
All two of
Hopefully
them.
this isn't.
Oh, there you go. That's so much clearer and better. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
There we are. All right, let's. I'm going to go back over to the old playoff odds report and just talk about any other teams that have made big leaps or declines. Double-digit wise, the Brewers went up 11%, as did the Mets. The Mariners is a big one. They jumped 13%, getting off to an 8-2 start, which is
Do you think they got
really
what it takes
amazing.
to last? Do you think they have what it takes to
No,
last?
not at all.
I don't either. I think this is all going to fade. Like, they're the Kansas City Royals of the early 90s and late 90s, where it's like, let's get to June, guys. We'll see how good you are in June. That's what I think is what the Mariners are.
You know, it's funny. Last week, I wanted to talk about, with Tucker, two teams that you were excited to watch, and we only got into to share one apiece. And I talked about the Reds, Cincinnati Reds, because they kind of rebuilt their team in an unusual way. They're still not a playoff-bound team, but they'll be fun to watch with Matt Kemp and Sonny Gray and Yasiel Puig. The other one I was going to mention was the Seattle Mariners, and I kind of had the same idea behind them, that they're doing a rebuild right now, but they're at least getting back some major league players, so they won't be a disgrace. I had no idea they were going to start out on fire.
Well, I think it's a fickle sport, man. There's people who are like, there are teams that just come out of the gate and they get really hot really quick, and you can't win a division in April, right? But you can definitely lose a division in April, and these guys are playing not to lose the division in April,
as we might be seeing in Boston.
Exactly. Well, Boston could lose it. Well, I think Boston still they could still figure this out, but like.
Absolutely.
The Mariners, I think, you have one strong starting pitcher, and that's your ace. You got a bullpen that isn't strong, so sooner or later, people are going to figure it out, and they're going to get to you early, and there will be a shift. I still think that the team to beat in that division is going to be Oakland. I just like Oakland. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's their third baseman's like gold cleats. That he was wearing when he got his Gold Glove that day, but there's always something about Oakland, like where it's like they've always had to like scrape to get what they have.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Like what they may not have much, but what they do have, they've worked and earned it all on their own, and that I kind of like that, and I think they're a bigger threat than the Mariners. But then again, so is Houston.
Yeah.
So everyone else
Houston
has
is always. Obviously they've won. I think they're one of the teams highly favored to win the World Series this year, and they won it just a couple of years back, 2 years ago. I picked them to win last year. Didn't work out for me in my predictions.
See, because they don't repeat. You can't repeat in Major League Baseball anymore. It's almost
it seems
impossible.
that way.
Yeah.
Well, their entire core was in place. I'm like, hey, you're good. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, there's all the innings on the arm and on all the respective arms, and maybe one guy they'll get back that'll give them a boost is Dallas Keuchel, who is a still unsigned free agent. He won the Cy Young Award, I think, in 2015. He's a guy that's not putting any new innings on his arm right now while he's still unsigned. So maybe he will be a fresh arm to come in and.
Why aren't the White Sox getting in this guy?
Him, really.
Aren't we talking to him? We got to get him at the table and sign him.
I would love. I really would love to have him on our squad, maybe on a 5-year deal. Be that mentor that can escort these young, talented kids up the pipeline. But I guess that's what Ivan Nova is for, and Irvin Santana. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not totally sold on these. I do like having veterans on the team. I think that's a great thing. I don't know if those are the best ones, but we'll see.
Hey, you know who's a great veteran to have in the clubhouse? AJ Przinsky. Just make him a bench coach.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it would be incredible. We saw him on opening day, hang out in the booth. Always so great hearing from him.
Yeah, he's that guy who he's waiting by the phone, hoping the White Sox call. Hey, can you come in and do 10 minutes in the booth with us today? He's like, yeah, I'll be there. No problem. Yeah. I love doing this. I'm a TV professional now because he is he's a pro. Yeah. He's a pro on TV. He's an analyst for Fox. So I think he's anytime I can get some airtime, I'm taking it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
we'll wrap up fairly soon here. I do just want to talk about two teams that just didn't do anything in the offseason that kind of annoyed me that they didn't do anything in the offseason, because the time is now. Take care of your fans. and that is both the Chicago Cubs and the Cleveland Indians. And the Indians really kind of made me irate over the offseason as they were looking to trade some of their top-end pitching to get younger, controllable stars. And I know that's a game plan, but we already know the team as constructed, it can easily win the season, win the division, but then not go anywhere in the postseason. And the fact that they were trying to take away from their current staff and get some future prospects, they were trying to take steps backwards because they were taking the division for granted. Now, that didn't come to fruition. They didn't end up trading Trevor Bauer or Carrasco, but still, that's what ownership was trying to do, and that's got to not feel good if you're in that clubhouse.
No. It tells you that you don't really have a future. You may not get paid from that team, like when you're a free agent, and it doesn't really. It starts from the top and it trickles down. And when people, there's an interesting article actually. This reminds me of an article that's in the Bleacher Report, switching sports from baseball to football, about the relationship between Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. And there's talk in this article at one point how Mike McCarthy, during team meetings, was getting a massage upstairs in his office while they were kind of going through, running through the game plan for Sunday. He was getting a massage.
Wow.
Whether that's true or not, there's this thing called perception, and it's 99% of the game. So the perception is that Mike McCarthy, while he's getting his massages during team meetings, he's not there. He doesn't care. If he doesn't care, why should I care? Why should I? What makes you think I have a future here? Because this guy clearly, who's my leader, who I'm supposed to follow, and he's going to get us to the promised land. He's not doing that. And if he's not doing that, I now have to look out for myself. You want out of there. It becomes a cancer in the clubhouse. No one wins, and that's you start looking for a trade basically. And I think that's that could happen.
Sure.
That's not going to happen to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
He won't get traded.
Sure. No.
Not to the Mets.
So much of sport is, of course, mental and inertia. So when we're talking about the Mariners with their hot start, even though we don't think they're going to last and still take that division, the fact that you're off and rolling, that momentum does carry, and who knows how far it'll carry them. There's a very, very long season, but it's still a great thing for those players to be able to go in and walk out there confidently. Unlike those poor North Siders who finally picked up their second one of the season last night. Yeah. But, man, they have to be going out there not with that kind of confidence right now.
I would say, if the tone has not shifted in that clubhouse, in the Cubs clubhouse since 2016, or even, I don't know what to tell you, because it isn't the same vibe. It can't be. I personally think if you're Joe Madden, this could be your last season if you guys don't make the playoffs. I think the expectations and the bar has been risen to the point where Cub fans expect this team to be not only in the playoffs every year, but to get beyond the first round of the playoffs and potentially into the World Series.
Absolutely.
And as they should. Now, if you're a Cub fan, though, how do you feel when you're watching spring training and the owner gets up and says, we're not spending any more money. We've spent enough. We have none left to spend. You're talking to the fan base, but you're also talking to your team. And the players are listening as well, and they are hearing the owner saying, we're not going to spend the money. We have none to spend. And if you're that player who's on the cusp of hey, I'm on a breakout year, next year's a free agent, no, there's no hometown deal. The guy's telling me he's not willing to spend the money. And that's the owner of the team. Yeah. So, that's why I think there's a little bit of an energy shift. When you're putting all your money into broadcasting and developing a new channel, hopefully that investment does pay off down the road. But you're basically saying, we're not going to do anything to improve the team. We've got you your World Series. We renovated Wrigley Field. We revitalized Wrigleyville, which I don't think needed, but a whole area got a facelift, right? And now that it's all come at their investment. Pretty much it's all private funding, right? The city of Chicago and the state of Illinois is not paying for this. right? So they've made their
Ursula says
investment.
they're used to it.
Well, no, now the Ricketts, they want to make their money back. And now's the
Sure.
time to start making those profits because, hey, stop spending money. Let's collect it instead. And that's what's happening. I
Yeah, but
think
will
fans
that
are going to get really upset with that.
exactly? And that's the question. Will fans get so upset they stop coming to games, they stop buying stuff with the Cubs logo on it? I don't know. I guess time will tell. You know, Wrigley is such a fun place to go that it's almost unfortunate. People bash Sox fans about not always coming out to the game. It's like, well, put a good product
Yeah,
out there. We come to the game. You don't get
right.
the blank check.
Exactly. There's no blind following over here. Like, you want my hard-earned money? Earn it. I earned it. Why can't you? You know, and if you want, put a good product on the team. Will you put a good product on the team, the people will come. And they will
Yeah.
spend the money. And like I saw it in '05. In '05, even in '05 as a beer vendor, they weren't selling out every single game.
Okay.
When they got good, they were about 30,000, 35,000 people after everyone got on board. But they had to prove themselves and say, hey, we're sticking that they were legit and that they weren't just going to fade away by June, which obviously did
Sure.
not happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't until 2006 that they actually saw the actual bump in their attendance. Because like that's where it was like,
Okay.
oh, 40,000 people every day at every game.
Sure.
Whereas in '05, there were still people who are like, I don't know, let's put our foot in the hot tub. The water's a little warm. Okay, let's get in. That's good.
Yeah.
But it took some time to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? And
Sure.
it also took no time at all to lose it.
Yeah, and I think that that's what we're seeing right now on the north side. I've seen comments from friends and family who are Cubs fans. Even just yesterday, the Cubs had a huge and they won yesterday's game, but against the Brewers they had an 8-run lead, and I saw comments coming up during games saying, "What are the odds the bullpen gives up 9?" You know, so
Yeah,
already the
right.
disillusionment is there. But at the same time, the Cubs have had this incredible run. That, you know, obviously the World Series, but they've won the division 3 years in a row, and then gotten via the wild card. They've slid into the wild card and were eliminated from the playoffs quickly. But there's still plenty of excitement, and I think even
Oh
just
yeah.
the team does need help. Let's be honest, and not just bashing on them. The team barely made the playoffs last year. The team needs a little help, but they've got this huge fan base that is more than willing to support them. So I think it was such an odd thing that really nothing was done to bolster this staff, and it might really have long-term negative effects if the
Well,
Cubs don't. Right now, they're favored to win 85 games and miss the playoffs.
right. And I actually that I do think that like players are listening. They're seeing how things are going on. Like we always find out how it was in the clubhouse a couple years after the fact. You know what I mean? Like you always hear the
Sure,
stories
yeah.
like after Sosa left, a couple months later, it all got out that the boombox got destroyed. He was told to leave. I mean, like the whole thing was. He didn't get told to leave. He just supposedly got up and left without saying goodbye. And like we found out all these things long after the fact. Who knows what's
Yeah.
going on right now in that clubhouse? Who knows if I mean, for all you know, it could be a real shit show.
And,
They're
and
all
then,
putting on a happy face.
and let's not forget about the odd decision to tender a contract to Addison Russell, which that was a questionable move from the get-go. A guy who was already suspended because of the domestic abuse
abuse.
policy that Major League Baseball has, and it has only gotten more negative as more information has come out. So the Cubs are still paying him a guaranteed contract.
Whoa.
He comes back, I think, beginning of May. And then how does he fit in? He's going to end up bumping somebody off the roster who hasn't beat his wife. So what will that be like? Or will they just cut him eventually by the time he's eligible to be on the team again? That's
Who
possible
knows?
too.
That's a good question. I mean, that's something now that you have to think about moving forward in this environment. Like, in terms of employment, like, would you, if you found out that you were, going to hire someone, and this isn't baseball related. I mean, we're talking any industry, any job.
Sure.
I mean, they do a background check on you. comes up, I mean, they're going to find things that they don't want in their offices or in their team environment. They're going to cut you loose. And baseball players he'll really cover if that were to happen. He'd be okay, but like just like anybody else would be okay. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's cut him loose is what I'd say. But like I think people like Addison Russell. There's another guy who was on the Yankees who did the same thing, or he's accused of it. I think he ended up playing for the Cubs for about a half a season.
Aroldis
Chapman. Yeah. Everybody gets their second chance. It doesn't make it. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird, but Steve Howe did cocaine, got caught with cocaine like 7 times, and was kicked out of baseball 7 times. Baseball will let now.
7 strikes and you're out. We have a limit.
Yeah, and every time he got kicked out, he was reinstated. So like they can kick out Addison Russell, Chapman. They can do whatever they want. These guys are all just going to go through the stupid process of, okay, fine, redemption, everything's forgotten, boom, boom, boom. The only person people don't forget about is
if you bet on the sport.
Or if you bet on the sport, or you lied in front of people and like in front of Congress, and everybody knows it, and you refuse to admit it. People don't forget that. I'm looking at you, Roger Clemens.
Well, I think even though we're ending on a down note, we are absolutely excited about this season. There's so much fun to look forward to this year. Will Trout be able to be the one-man wrecking crew and somehow make the Angels a 500 team? Right now they're 3-6. He's gone on this crazy tear, but they still haven't been winning. So one man can't do it all, but if one man can, it would be Mike Trout.
You know what? I think if Mike Trout is going to save that team, he's going to have to come out of the bullpen. Because I think a lot of teams, they look at the Angels and they see a team that's like, that doesn't change their approach.
Yeah.
They take the same approach. You know exactly like every 5th inning, every game, the starter comes out. We put in the bullpen.
Yeah.
So if you can plan for that, if you're the other team and you know that, like every game, they're going to take the guy out in the just wait until the 5th inning. They're going to tax their bullpen. That's pretty early to start bringing people in from the bullpen.
Sure.
So if you do that every game, you're just plan for it. Plan for that. Oh, don't worry, we're going to get rid of the starting pitcher in 3 more innings. Then we'll get to their bullpen.
The game really, we just got to stick around.
Yeah.
And the game really starts in the 6th.
You're not going to win the game. You're just not going to lose it either. The guy who's last standing is the one who's going to win, and that should be the team who's playing the Angels. Yeah, I think the Angels can maybe, but I think again, Mike Trout would have to start pitching for the Angels to make this.
Yeah, well, following the Shohei Ohtani model, who is still recovering from Tommy John surgery. He will not pitch this year. He is not on the active roster yet, but he does have a great batter's eye. So we'll see what boost he can give to the team.
I still think that's a bust.
I'm still skeptical, but I was impressed by him last year. I will say that.
No, I know totally. Yeah, but overall, the big picture right now is that he has to be looked upon as a bust. Like he has not lived up to the potential or to the price tag. My opinion.
Yeah.
And I get injuries happen, but you're not paying for people to come across the pond to get injured.
Well, and they actually knew that he had some wear and tear, so they had the medicals. This was a decision that they made going in, and maybe it's as much of marketing as anything. I mean, they're down in Disney territory, so they know the value of marketing.
Yeah, they do. Oh my gosh, they have to be able to just drop. Here's a little fun pat, and then we're gonna end this real quick. I always thought this was an interesting the numbers game of baseball, right? When it tells an interesting story. Artie Moreno bought the Angels for somewhere in the neighborhood of $185 million, right? Mm-hmm. With that $185 million, he gets a stadium, he gets a staff, a front office staff, like a general manager, secretary, all that people, marketing department. He also gets a 25-man roster of baseball players and a manager.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some other bells and whistles we can throw in there.
Yeah. Parking lot.
A parking lot. Yeah, exactly, a parking lot. That's a generator of that's money right there. So then you have Mike Trout. and you spend 400 million or whatever and some change, four
Yeah.
hundred million. He could have bought two Angels baseball teams and still had
Thanks for
money
watching,
left
Ursula.
over. Huh?
Sorry, somebody was just saying goodbye. So thanks for watching,
Oh,
Ursula,
oh.
and back to Joe.
Yeah, and back to me. But that's a weird wow, dude. You're only getting one player for that 400 million. I know
Yeah,
he's the
yeah.
greatest player in the game right now, but it's a lot of money to put into one guy. I
Well,
don't
it's
care who he
amazing, and
is.
nobody's buying a franchise for 100 and some odd million anymore. That Angels have to be valued at close to 2 billion or so. So yeah, it was a
Well,
different era.
you can add 400 million to the value of that franchise just on that based on the contract
Oh yeah,
for
because
Trout.
again, it is a potentially team-friendly contract at 400 million.
I'm telling you, man, teams got to be worth a minimum of at least 650 to 750 million. Most
Yeah,
teams.
let me just,
Then you have the teams who are obviously the Cubs, the Yankees, the Dodgers. They're definitely flirting with 1.2 to 1.5 billion.
oh yeah. In 2018, Forbes magazine valued the Angels at 1.8 billion. So there you go. So good investment from Artie Moreno. 185 million paid, worth 1.8 billion now.
That guy prints money in his basement, Scott.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Wow. In 1995, Disney paid 30 mil for a 25% stake in the club. That was a good investment from Disney.
Oh
Wow.
yeah,
So just looking ahead
crazy.
just to today at 1 o'clock local time, Chicago time, we have both games going. The Sox are hosting the Mariners, Ivan Nova versus Wade LeBlanc, and up I-94 from Chicago. The Brewers are hosting the Cubs, Zach Davies versus the recently extended Kyle Hendricks. So yeah, some really fun baseball to watch in just an hour and a half.
And I'll be watching the White Sox. Are you watching the Cubs?
No, because I'm blocked out because I'm in the Milwaukee territory.
That's right.
So
By the
yeah,
way, Milwaukee's
but
uniforms, the Brewers' uniforms look fantastic.
yeah,
The
I
pinstripes
love
look
their
really good.
I love the logo with the barley or the hops or grain or whatever it is that the serving to underline the M.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
a,
cool,
it's a
dude.
nice little accent.
It's yeah, I don't know, very much so. I like it. It's very cool. So I hope that are they
Thanks.
wearing those all season or is it just for opening weekend or whatever?
I think that's their normal outfit, normal
The
attire, I should say.
the outfit. You mean the pinstripes?
Oh, pinstripes. I haven't seen pinstripes on the Brewers. Oh, I see. Oh, they're like the throwback style.
Yeah, they're wearing the throwback pinstripes all weekend.
Oh, that's neat. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I see that and just automatically think Robin Yount.
I know, me too. Or Paul Molitor. No, sorry, Molitor played for the
Yes.
the Twins. Also pinstripes.
No, but
All
he
right,
did come
cool.
over to the Brewers as well.
I thought so. See,
I have a
whatever,
Paul
man.
Molitor jersey shirt.
Oh, do you? Is it a
Yeah,
Twins or is Brewers?
Brewer, the Brew Crew.
Interesting. That's got to be a collector's item. Maybe not.
Well, after I wear it, it is. Yeah.
Put it on eBay, man. All right, cool. Are we
There we
done?
go. We are
We went
done.
longer
Thanks
than we
everybody
thought
for
we were.
watching live, and thanks for commenting, Wendy and Ursula, who's already gone. But we've had a handful of people stop in and then
Yeah.
mosey on out. But thanks for anybody that stopped and watched, and anybody that's watching on the replay.
Yeah, I won't look like El Chapo next week.